Sing, sing, sing. Talk. This is Sing Talk Radio.
Welcome to Sing Talk Radio. I am your new host, Joe Batance, and I am joined by the same two co-hosts. First, he is a renowned vocal coach, the founder of Vocalize You and the Dave Stroud in the Dave Stroud Vocal Studio. Please welcome Dave Stroud. Hello, Dave. How do you like this new role that we have going on here?
I like it. There's no more pressure on me.
And it was a very high-pressure situation.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot to risk here.
But all the big Dave Stroud fans, what you guys need to know is nothing's going to really change. It's just me doing this part. And then it's still Dave talking, and we're going to have great guests, and everything's staying exactly the same. We're just going to be moving things along a little bit better. Shannon and I will get to talk every once in a while.
A little better.
Yeah. It's not going to be 30 minutes on... my favorite one was when we did Judith Hill, and it was like the last 1 minute, and you were like, Judith, what are the top 5 moments of your life?
Yeah,
okay, we got to go.
So great. And I was like, babe, I got to get home. And you're like, Judith, just tell me. Just a quick question. From when you were born... through now, present.
And then we had to end.
Top 5.
And next, she's a hilarious stand-up comedian, as we just saw, and successful coach in her own right. She's also Dave's wife, which we found out was huge information today. Say hello to Shannon Stroud.
Hello.
Hello.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
I like
Hello.
Radio Joe.
Do you like Radio Joe?
Kind of.
What if I was always Radio Joe?
It'd be irritating.
We went to commercial while we were talking. I'm like, hold on, Shannon. This was brought to you by Squarespace. You know,
I'd like to order some.
if you'd like to build a website, make it look good. Well, let's move on. Today we're honored to have two very, very special guests. First, Jory Steinberg is originally from Ottawa, Canada. She's been singing and performing from a very young age when she played Cosette in Les Miserables.
Yeah.
How people say it? Yeah.
Wow. Very accurate.
And performed for Queen Elizabeth. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of her. There's a Netflix show about her. She had a memorable audition on American Idol Season 6 where she wowed the judges. Since then, she's worked with everyone from David Foster to Toto. Her single, Try to Say Goodbye, was featured on the soundtrack for I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. And she recently toured with Cirque du Soleil. I'm doing a lot of my French today.
You are.
Wow.
Yeah. Next, Greg Phillinganes is an American keyboardist, singer, songwriter, and musical director. A prolific I know that too. For anyone who doesn't know what that means a prolific session musician. Phillinganes has contributed to numerous albums representing a broad array of artists and genres. He has toured with notable artists such as Stevie Wonder, Eric Clapton, and Toto. Served as the musical director for Michael Jackson, and has released 2 solo albums. Most recently, he served as the musical director for the 2016 Grammy Awards too. The Grammy Awards is something different.
Yeah, that's different.
It's about verbs and everything.
Yeah.
But the
That's on
Grammy
Netflix.
Awards.
Yeah, it had to do with that, what's his name, Grammar.
Yeah. Andy Grammer. Welcome. By the way, he is so accomplished, I just needed to copy the intro to his Wikipedia page. That's basically what I just read. Welcome, Greg and Jory, to Sing Talk Radio. You guys know Dave Stroud?
Hi, guys.
Yes, hi, Dave Stroud.
Good to see you guys again.
Good to see
Hi,
you
Dave
too.
Stroud.
Yeah. Haven't seen you since before kids.
That's true.
Remember when it was Footloose and Fancy Free?
Absolutely.
You do?
I certainly
Yeah.
do.
Do you?
We'll be driving somewhere, and all of a sudden, Jory will blurt out, "Remember the days when we just used to
Drive.
Yeah.
Sleep.
Yeah.
How old is your kid?
Well, hang on. First of all,
Yeah, you've been a
they're
dad
twins.
Uh-huh.
They're twins with us, and I also have an 11-year-old daughter who happens to be sitting
Yes.
right
In the studio.
about there.
Where is she? Oh. You're in it. You can't help
The
it.
best daughter in the world.
She kind of is,
She really
actually.
is.
Everybody
yeah.
says their kids are the best in the world. No, my daughter really is the
I
best.
like
in
her.
No,
I
she's
know.
extraordinary. And we have twin boys who in 24 hours will be 20 months.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You guys look great.
Yeah, for no sleep.
Wow.
We do sleep. I can't lie.
No,
we have really
the
good
sleep is
boys
the
who
least
sleep.
of the
Oh, that's
issues.
great.
We got a sleep trainer though. We
Did you really?
We did.
We know someone
We
who
know
had
all
that.
about that.
We know all
And
about it.
It's no joke.
It's the
No,
best
we know.
thing.
Because the
Best
sleep trainer's job really is to hold the mother's hand and go, okay, they're going to scream, let them.
thing. Yeah,
it's
no,
okay.
it's genius.
Because mothers can't stand hearing their children scream for more than 30 seconds,
Right.
So this one was like, no, I can't do it. And so she said, no, it's going to be fine. And she came over and spent the afternoon and the early evening with us and put them down to sleep. And it was like a miraculous, like a 95% change.
Everyone needs
night,
that. Like, I need a sleep trainer.
Yeah.
I need someone to
You do?
swaddle me down.
Yeah.
And like tell Dave she's gonna cry.
Yeah, it's gonna be all right.
But
And I'm in the living room watching TV going,
yeah, I gotta leave her.
I know
Sure.
she cries.
Yeah. There you go.
I would like to wake up sometimes, just have like an old Filipino woman staring at me
Yeah.
when I wake up, and I go
could
water,
arrange-
Yeah.
and I just start crying.
Yeah.
I don't know why I go like this for
More.
one.
Yeah,
more.
yeah.
What is this again?
I'll
Draw it out, make it longer.
Yeah, make it longer.
Yeah.
That's why I tell. That's
We
why I
need
tell
more
them.
time.
That's why she gets creeped out when I tell her that too.
Yeah.
So
She's
she's like,
like,
I
"Draw
don't
what out?"
know. Yeah, what am I gonna make longer?
Sir, just-
Yeah, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
I didn't sign up for this. Now, right before we recorded, I want everyone to know this. We basically did a whole show before we
really
recorded.
good.
But one of the questions I said we cannot answer this until we start the show is, I was talking to Jory and she said she's not used to having two headphones on at the same time. And because she's a singer, and I'm dying to know, 'cause I'm not a singer. Clearly, I don't know if you guys know this, I'm not a singer.
Really?
No, yeah, not a singer.
That's
Everybody
singer.
leaves.
Well, actually, later I will be singing the national anthem, but we do that at the end of every episode. We do, most baseball games do at the beginning. We do it at the end.
Got it.
Because then people leave. after
And by the
singing.
way, we're all gone. Joe just stays here.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
he
nobody's
just
here.
TNS is trying to get rid of
Nobody,
him.
yeah, nobody. I'm
Okay.
just sitting here singing the national anthem.
So we
But
don't have to stay. All
I
right.
want to get I want to finally get the answer. Why is it you only wear one headphone at a time, Jory?
Well, for me, it's become a habit. But most of the time, when it's really useful is when you're singing with other singers, and you kind of just need to hear yourself. And so you take one off, so you can hear what everybody's hearing in their mix, but then you can also hear what you're hearing in your brain. So through your body. So
It's one insecure ear.
Yeah,
It's just like, I gotta hear what. Hold on.
What are the other
Exactly.
people saying
What are
about
the other
me?
people
Yeah,
saying?
exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, you just want to hear what's going on around you as far as what you're projecting. But then what's in the other ear is what's going on with the other singers.
Do you ever find out that you're like, like,
Sometimes you're
Really?
like, oh, I'm totally on. I'm
I'm
singing the
on
right
it.
pitch. Everything's perfect. You're like, oh no.
just kidding.
No, I'm not
Wait,
at all.
they're on the other verse.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Everyone's left.
Here, just so you know, I got yelled at by a Shure rep because I said that to a student, well, just take one ear out if you can't. And he goes, that is the worst advice. And I go, really? Why? And he goes, because the other ear is getting blasted louder than you realize. Because when you take one ear off, you don't realize it gets quieter, right? But the one ear is getting blasted. And he says it can cause hearing damage.
Awesome.
I don't know how true it is.
That sounds like marketing to me. That sounds like big headphones.
yeah.
Big,
a lot
you know,
of
the big
times-
headphone. Yeah.
But a lot of times you'll see artists like during the Grammys, during
Oh, yeah,
big shows
absolutely.
where they just have to rip one ear out because
Yeah.
it's not working for some reason or the
Yeah.
mix is off and they have to hear what they're doing. Otherwise, the performance is
Well,
bad.
I always
I
thought
think
it was
it's
like
better.
I always thought it was like just like a drama thing because it's always like right at the crescendo. It's never in the beginning, like at this quiet part, like they don't do it in the beginning when she's singing soft. It's like right when she hits that big
They just
whatever.
throw the
she's
thing
like
out.
F
Yeah.
this, I don't need two
No,
headphones.
it's counterproductive. We saw Maxwell a few nights ago, and he's constantly having problems. I mean, he started out with both of them, but it didn't last long at all. Before you knew it, there was one out, and then a few songs in, both of them were just slung behind his back. And it's like, well, what's the point? Because I know
Yeah.
they had sound check,
Right.
but it's
It's distracting.
they just can't seem to ever get. I have, I'm usually fine with in-ears. I have no problem with them. Usually, artists, it's a big problem, and then it goes back to I think of Michael's problems during the This Is It filming, and they made there was this whole scene about how he was having problems with his in-ears and how he described it as something like beating in his ear. And no one around him could seem to sort the problem out, which was really annoying to me. But that's all I'm gonna say about that.
As the music director, do you prefer them to have in-ears or whatever they're called?
Do I prefer what artists to have?
Yeah, like is it helpful?
No,
to direct
you know what?
it,
It's
or-
first of all, it's the artist's preference.
Okay.
Whatever they want. If they want the in-ears or if they want wedges, that's totally their preference. As far as my band, if it's more effective to use in-ears, we go with that. I mean, most musicians that I work with don't have a problem with in-ears. I've become more accustomed to them, and I kind of prefer them because I think there's more. You have more control as opposed to just wedges blasting at you or at you. But I've had wedges for years.
Oh, monitors.
The
that are
monitors,
blasting
the
back.
floor monitors, yeah. And also there can be a great feeling of power. When I was with Toto, I had a pair
I'm already
of
laughing.
massive. No, I had a pair of massive.
You still have them.
No. I had I kind of do. I think. I had a pair of massive
twins.
speakers at the bottom, and they would just like blast. I wanted them, because it's a great feeling of power. But I'd have little ear protection things, that I would wear, but I'd still feel it, And guys would come over to me and go, "Man, how do you?" I'm like, first of all, Steve Lukather, you're the guitarist. You have 8,000 amps behind you. Don't even try it. But
Interesting. It's a whole.
I've noticed a lot of artists going back to wedges lately, though.
See, I don't like wedges.
Yeah.
I don't feel I have the same control. But having said that, back to what Greg was saying before, a lot of times you finish sound check, you finish rehearsal, everything's perfect, your mix is totally dialed in. You go back for the show, it's all different. Like, I don't know what it is. It just doesn't stay the same. So you're stuck on stage. You can't do anything because you're live or whatever it is.
Yeah, it seems there's always in the halfway through. someone's throwing
unfortunately,
something out
you're dealing with it's a lot of cases, really unfortunate, where you have sound guys who actually really don't know what they're doing, and you spend all this time
getting it right.
So a day or more in rehearsal trying to get it right, and then the show comes and everything just collapses to hell, and it's really, really disheartening, and it can
ruin
throw
the
you off.
vibe.
It really can ruin things.
Well, wait, hold on for a second. Technical question. This is super technical. I don't want to get super geeky here. Don't you just leave it set the way it is and go like, okay, I'm going to lunch? Like, what happens?
You would think, Joe.
Yeah.
You would think, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
It's more complicated than it needs to be.
Yeah.
Even
for
sometimes
the most
when we
part.
were on the Cirque show, which I'm
Yeah.
sure we'll talk about, but it was it was 18 months, same thing, every single night,
Every single night.
different arena, just same exact everybody, same exact equipment. But sometimes, for whatever reason, something would be different. Like, for example, in DC, well, the First Lady came to the show, and then everything got messed up because of, I guess, Secret Service and what was going on, with their equipment, and so the whole show was
The
completely
technology
messed
of the Secret Service actually messed with
Yeah.
our.
Oh,
we had
really?
to change the sound guys had to
Frequencies.
change
Oh, yeah. But,
frequencies.
like,
and the
mid-show.
whole- It was crazy.
So we're all on stage going, what is going on? Why can't we hear anything? And so there are some moments where there's a legitimate problem that
The
might
Secret
change
Service is like,
Yeah.
this is not the right key for me. I'm going to need this changed.
No, it's more like
Where's my snare?
It's more like we're taking over and we don't
can't
care
hear
about
this.
your little sound problems.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
we will be communicating and we don't care about your little show.
Right.
That's what
Yeah.
that's about.
it. Which is understood. It's just that we didn't get the memo, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, anything that's
gonna
being
need to take out
broadcast,
all these
whether
nets.
it's ears or mics, are off.
It's just different. The levels are all some things were off, some things were just loud, some things were inaudible. It just sort of just was like willy-nilly on stage that night. But it sort of depends. But my point is sometimes there's a legitimate reason why, and sometimes there's no legitimate reason why. It just is different. And
So here's a technical question: the First Lady or the Queen? Who was better?
it's a tough one.
Is there a difference, really? Really, Dave? Is there a difference? She's our queen.
I'm not
our
the
queen.
expert.
I would think the Queen because you were right next to
The Queen
her.
is I did shake the First Lady's hand, Michelle Obama's hand. That was special in a different way. But the Queen was very special to me. I was young. I was 11 when I met her and sung
Wow.
for her. Yeah, it was amazing.
How cool is that?
It was, yeah, and it was in Canada, so it was the British Canada connection, and that was really special. And I would have to say the Queen because she's the Queen,
And what does she say to you?
she was very lovely with her beautiful British accent, which I can't even pretend to do.
You don't even do
that
a
was
Canadian
pretty
accent, really.
I do. You'll hear it on my abouts in my house and outs. That's when
all
you'll
right.
hear it. But the rest is kind of gone.
That's what you should call your podcast.
Yeah.
Abouts and outs and outs.
Yes, it's a good one.
With Jory Steinberg.
Yes, A.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, she was beautiful and proper and lovely, and she asked me all kinds of questions about Canada and about growing up in Canada.
Where is Canada?
Where's Canada? Well,
And you're
we're in
like, we're here right now, Queen.
Oh.
And
You
you're
own
the
it.
queen of it. Yeah.
Exactly.
You're on the money.
You are on the money.
Yeah. Queen, you are on the money. And she's like, thank you. I am.
Yeah.
I am on the money.
So,
go ahead.
can I shift and ask Greg a question? Am I
Do whatever
allowed?
you
Wow.
want. Dave, oh my God.
That
Wow.
was just a
Passive
little bit of a,
aggressive. Well, Joe, you take
it
over.
okay if
Excuse me,
I
Joe,
ask
can
a
I ask?
question?
Yeah, this is your show.
Greg, what was your first MD gig?
That was Lionel Richie.
Really?
Yeah.
That doesn't suck.
Not too bad. It was for his first solo tour.
In 83.
Three. Yeah.
Nice. And what drove you into being an MD instead of, I don't know, did you want to be an artist?
I wanted to be Prince so bad. It just didn't work.
Who doesn't?
I really, by the second album that I did, I really,
And did you sing on your album?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
How can we get a copy?
Greg's a really good singer.
I heard.
He just doesn't talk about it.
I was listening to this in these
I'm a little more
imitations.
comfortable with it now, but the albums I think are collector's items in Borneo. I think there's a sale. It's
That's not true.
Good luck trying to find mine. I can't help you there. But yeah, I want to, but it just didn't work out, and there were production issues, there were record company issues, there were radio issues. My second album, the first single I thought was a slam dunk because I got it from Michael. And it was called Behind the Mask, and it was co-written by him and Ryuichi Sakamoto from Yellow Magic Orchestra. And I thought, this is it's got everything. It's a slam dunk.
On paper, it's all lined up.
Oh my goodness! It's like it was pop, it was funk, and it was this robotic, dun 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 dun.
And what year was this?
This was 80.
Oh, my favorite year.
Yeah,
Best year.
I don't know, like 85, 84, something like that. And Michael was, he wrote the melody and lyrics, and he was singing like Levi Stubbs from the Four Tops. He was just doing, "Who do you love?" And he was doing all this great stuff. And I thought it was a slam dunk, but pop radio thought it was too black, and black radio thought it was too pop, and I got lost in between. But my manager at the time managed to get me on MTV for about 20 minutes.
Which is 4 plays.
Yeah, and so that was because I did a video.
Who was the label?
For the second album, it was for both albums, it was Planet Records. They were the boutique company, but they were distributed for the second album by Warner's.
And the label itself, the problems with the label are just typical large label getting lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
So after that, you were like, all right, I'm going to MD.
And after that, I was like, I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah.
And but that was, let's see, it was kind of in between, because I think the first thing that happened was Lionel's tour. And then, my first album, and then Lionel's tour, and then the second album. I think that's how the succession went.
Yeah.
And then I had been working with Michael years before, starting with his brothers on the Destiny and Triumph albums. And now, fast forward, we're working on the Bad album. And we're in the studio, and, every once in a while he'd ask me, "You really enjoy touring, don't you?" I went, "Yeah." "You enjoy live performances, don't you?" "What? Yeah, I do." I said, "You like the feeling of the audience cheering, don't?" I said, "Yeah, I didn't really."
He has this imitation
You
down
sounded-
really
No,
well.
and he would.
Michael Jackson's in the studio.
Yeah, and he would go, "So you like live performance?" I go, "Yeah. Why are you asking me?" "Oh, you want me to tour with you?" So that's how I got it out of him.
Did he have to talk you into
Yeah,
it, or was that
I
one of
love
those
that
things
you're
where
like,
you go, I could stay
No,
home and
I
mow the
was-
lawn or go out and be
No,
cool?
here was my little dilemma. I was touring before that with Eric Clapton.
You were?
Yeah, and that started out with what I called the new Fab Four, because it was Eric, Phil Collins, Nathan East, and me.
Wow.
Wow.
And we did not play. I mean, we'd go out and we played arenas, and we would slay. Just the four of us. We would murder. And so that was going really fabulously well. And then this little situation with Michael came up.
This young up-and-comer.
Yeah.
Eric Clapton, the established icon, or this
Yeah.
new guy.
This new guy named Michael, and for his first solo tour. So I had to think about this, and I made the decision, but I had to go now and tell Eric, check it out. I got this offer to tour with
like
Michael as his MD for this first solo tour. You gonna be okay with this? And he's like, "Oh yeah, absolutely, no problem." And of course, I went to
It's not you, it's me.
yeah, kind of thing. And really, no, I and so he supported it. But then after the Bad tour, I went back for more touring with Eric. but his band had expanded by then. Next thing you know, we had like 2 singers, another keyboardist, an extra guitarist. We had like this much bigger situation. Yeah, we had
a baton twirler.
Yeah, we had a much bigger situation, but that was fun too. So that's sort of like a jumbled portion of my history there.
It's very like, same with the entertainment industry where
This is entertainment.
You have to make decisions like that because, once you leave that door shuts a lot of times. So
it does for most, not for
you.
It can, but
but
God has blessed me immensely, and it was pretty wild to be stuck in the middle of, okay, Eric, Clapton, or Michael. Let's see.
Not a bad place to be.
When I'm off the road with Michael, I'll just pick up a gig with Eric,
That's great.
Then, Lionel calls, so we'll see.
Lionel.
Yeah, it's been pretty crazy.
Now, I want to go backwards in a question, because I read this on the Wikipedia page, and I was like, I need to ask this question. You started playing at 2?
Yeah.
At 2 years
old?
old?
Too.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
You saw that too?
Yeah.
2 at 2.
Yeah. Tell me how that works. Because Wikipedia doesn't. That's what I want Wikipedia to go into.
Yes.
Like, when are you 2? And you're like.
And also, like, you always see these kids on
Yes.
the interwebs.
Yes.
And by
they're
the way,
like,
at 2, playing for me involved a lot of dirt and worms. There was not.
Well, here's the thing. Now, it's not. I don't want you to think that I was playing, Chopin or Beethoven at 2. I was playing little things by ear. And one of the first things I remember playing was
an Eric Clapton
Stop
song.
It. Sentimental Journey. Mm-hmm. To my mom's delight. But, I would go mostly to my next door neighbor's basement. They had a piano. And Mom didn't realize what I was.
Times have changed.
Yeah.
Where's my kid?
No, it was.
He's just in the next door neighbor's basement.
No,
He's
it wasn't
in the basement. In the
dude,
next door
it wasn't
neighbor.
another town. It was the next door. It was the house next
Can you
door.
imagine me allowing
Would
our
you-
almost 2-year-olds to
Yeah.
go next door to the neighbor's
Jory, where are twins?
Yeah.
Why are
Yeah, I'm
they
not
next door?
sure.
Oh, they're next
Last
door in the
time I saw them,
basement.
they were outside. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's wrong with that?
Pretty sure they toddled down to 7-Eleven to get us some 40s.
Yeah.
They'll be
That's
back.
nice.
They'll be
That's
back.
nice. 40. Well, yeah. And guess what else? I didn't wear a helmet when riding my bike either.
I
How
know,
about
and
that?
we drank out of the hose. It was
Okay, how about that?
How are you still alive?
Exactly.
But it was a different time.
Yeah, it was a different time.
I kind of, yeah. it was a
But
great time.
I don't take the new time that seriously either. I mean, yes, my young kids will have helmets, when they ride bikes, but not when they're
Jory, what are you
14.
thinking at this point?
Oh, you know.
Do they?
Helmet?
Sometimes
Sometimes
So they're
Elian wears
80, maybe
a
not.
helmet. Sometimes he doesn't.
because she's a rebel.
She,
Yeah.
But anyway, no, I did start playing songs by ear at 2, and then when Mom found out what was really going on, then she went downtown and bought me this cool
helmet.
She bought me a helmet. She said, "You got to be careful when playing that piano."
Down the basement.
And she bought me this lovely, ornate, upright piano, and that was my new best friend.
Yeah, but then also said that, and then he just met some fancy composer or something in the opera or something.
No. What happened was I had 3 private teachers.
Yeah.
When I first started taking
First in the
lessons,
basement.
No, when I first started taking lessons around 6, that was kind of an elementary level.
Okay.
And then I had another teacher, some years later. It was more of an intermediate.
Okay.
But then Mom, sensing that I needed more discipline, because I was, running the first 2, ragged.
Well, you were like, you're teaching me. I started at 2.
Yeah, I kind of was, I was a little cocky.
Yeah.
So Mom realized it was time for a little more discipline.
Yeah.
So she managed to get me taking lessons from the pianist with the Detroit Symphony Orchestra.
Yeah,
And his name was Misha Kotler, and he was no joke. He was this, Russian, Orthodox Russian. He's part Russian anyway. And he could break a pane of glass with his finger, like, he could crack a pane, but he was badass. He was no joke.
you did not rip those headphones out.
No. And so I left his house most times with my head between my legs. I just was you know, I was totally. I was messed up.
Did it
But he
inspire
totally,
you,
absolutely. He gave me the discipline I needed.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and helped tremendously in my studying of classical, and some of his his teachings. I mean, some of his methods as far as playing, I still use today.
Right. That's amazing.
Like he still goes and breaks. He just for fun just breaks glass. Just breaks glass.
Yeah, you need to get in.
Yeah. Joy, were you singing it too?
No, I started singing at 10.
Late.
And then
late
late
bloomer.
at 11?
Yeah. It was
Because you need that 1 year.
Yeah, slacker.
Exactly. It was actually on my 10th birthday. It was like a light just shined on me in a different way, and
Wow.
I just started singing all of a sudden. I'd always been musically inclined and interested. I played piano when I was a kid and violin, but singing just hit me one day, like just boom. And then I went for an audition like a week after that day, and I got the Les Miserables gig. And
A week after your birthday?
Yep.
Like, on a castle.
Exactly. That is exactly what I sang and how it happened. And
Yeah.
then from that point on, everything just sort of happened for me.
I want the audience to know because I was so good. That was me singing. It wasn't Jory. I know people might think that was Jory or
that
a
was
clip,
good,
but
Joe.
yeah, thank you.
That was good.
No, Joe, I don't think there's any confusion there. I'm just going to be honest about that. I'm saying.
The Russian is coming out of him right
Yeah,
now.
I'm gonna break glass right now.
Yeah.
Different kind. I'll break the glass.
Yeah.
Oh, so how was it working in Les Miserables? Did you like that?
I loved it. It was
wasn't
amazing.
a touring company. It was right there.
It was a tour.
Oh,
We
it
did
was.
Toronto and Winnipeg and Ottawa. So we were kind of all over Canada. Very quickly, I went from this kid in school to this kid on the road. And I had tutors, and it was a whole different life very quickly. But it was amazing. I mean, I had no fear because I didn't know any better. I was just so ignorant that I just had no idea. So I was on stage every night having the time of my life. When you get older, you have fear. You have no fear when you're a kid.
Mm-hmm.
So I just remember feeling that high from the audience and just never I was the last one off stage every night, waving and waving and waving. And I just loved it.
Which is
guys
really strange
sweeping.
because Cosette's not even make it through the half of the first act.
Right.
Like the war's going on, Cosette's just
Oh, yeah.
standing there,
Peeking
like
around the
waving at
background.
at the soldiers dying, and Cosette's just waving. And then, but your parents had the wherewithal a week after singing. They're like, we got to get her an audition.
Yeah, it was
Wow.
sort of kind of like Greg's situation where my parents just thought, well, she obviously has something. We have to figure out how to harness this and help her with it. And they did. And I just lucked into an amazing vocal coach who recognized it in me. And she's like, you have to go for this audition. It's happening
in
next
Toronto?
week. This is in Ottawa.
Yeah, Dave already wants to crush her. Who is this?
No.
I'm right.
But the truth is, I'm always interested in other cities and who's doing what. Of course, I'm interested in that. So.
Yeah, she was.
But that was 2 years ago. So.
Yeah, she's Japanese. She was amazing. She taught me so much about theory and about the physicality of singing and your diaphragm. And she really, at a young age, gave me what I needed to sort of start and figure it out. And I'm forever grateful. We're still in touch, and she's amazing. But that's how it all began with Les Mis, and it was very quick. It just snowballed very quickly.
Do you guys both love touring still?
I do.
Uh-oh.
But I've done less of it than he has. I'm not quite as seasoned as
I'm
Greg.
over it,
Nobody
man.
really is.
Are
But
you?
I'm over it. I mean, look, it's for the kind of money that I would require to leave my family. No one's going to pay that.
Yeah.
And
Same here.
You know what I'm talking about? It's like I'm good.
Yeah.
I've done it with most of the best. I'm good.
Not most of the best, but
Yeah,
anyway.
and the latest one was just a complete surprise. I mean, I hadn't heard from this guy in over 25 years. And earlier this year, he sends me an email going, "Oh, it's been an age. You fancy a tour?" And I'm like, "Really? How did you even find me?" So what are you going to really say no to David Gilmour? I don't think so.
Yeah.
So I did 2 months out of the summer with him, and we wrapped it up with 5 shows at Albert Hall. And it was absolutely incredible.
That's awesome.
And
But the touring like that is very different than the grueling stuff you've done in the past.
that is correct.
yeah.
That's correct right there.
I mean, I look at some of these guys that are on the road that go out and they're gone for a year, or some of them at 18 months. And I go, I don't know how you do it, man. You're sleeping in a bunk on top of people for 18 months.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
It's a tough one, but I've done I did 18 months at least with Michael. Longer, I think. That was fairly civilized. The most civilized ones were Eric and David. It's like Eric in the good days, and we had a private jet, and we would hub, you know what hubbing is. You base yourself out of a major city
Right.
and play smaller markets.
bounce
and
around.
but you're kind of like your hotel in the major city is like
That's where you come back.
your residence,
Yeah.
for a minute. So you're not. It reduces the grind and the schlep, and so those were the good old days.
Yeah. What about you, Jory?
I love touring. I love waking up in a different city. I love being on a different stage. I love a different audience. I love a different venue. I love everything that is touring. We did this 18-month-long tour together, so I have really fond memories of touring with Greg, which is, I couldn't ask for anything better to be on stage every night next to him.
You mean with the Cirque du Soleil?
With the Cirque tour, yep.
Yeah.
So I do love touring. I do. I love Europe. I love traveling and seeing new places and living
Do you
the dream.
really get to see much, though? Do you?
On that
On
tour,
the
we did.
day off, I guess?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, on
Oh,
that
we
tour,
really
we
took
did.
advantage of it.
Yeah.
When we spent time in St. Petersburg, Russia, and
Oh, I mean like St. Petersburg, Florida.
yeah, no, St. Petersburg, Russia, all over Germany. Like I got to see so much of the world. It was just so special, and we were in Miami. Like we were all over the place. And
Yeah.
just
There
enjoying.
was a long break when we were in Budapest. So what do? We took off and went to Jerusalem.
I took him to
Oh,
Israel.
yeah.
And I saw Jerusalem for the first time. We went to Bethlehem, saw the birthplace of Jesus. We went there and we did the whole and we went to the
The wall.
went to the wall and went to the
Went to Old City.
the Dead Sea or the
We went to the Dead Sea.
we went to the Dead Sea.
We went to Masada.
Went to Masada. It was
Yeah.
it was incredible.
No, it was special.
So we
But
did
That's the beauty of that. We in certain cities when you have time off like that. I mean, we were off for a week in another city. I don't remember where we were. Oh, in Massachusetts. Remember?
Yeah.
So we were just in
we got a
Boston,
car
like,
and we
hanging
drive
out
to
and-
Boston.
It's
So,
great.
so do you like the fact that life isn't so structured when you're on the road? You like that lack of structure?
I love it, but yet it is structure. I mean,
Yeah, absolutely,
As a singer, my dream is always a long-term gig because when you love what you do, you just want to keep doing it.
Right.
You don't want to have to keep searching for the next gig and the next gig. So I mean, the long-term things, if you're happy, that's my dream come true.
All I mean by structure is like when you're living here, like the kids get up at a certain time, you do a certain thing, got to get them there, and then you're at night, and there's a structure to life. And that structure, is that something you're uncomfortable with and you just prefer a little bit more break in things?
I think I like balance. I think I'm one who
Touring
thrives
is
on
not
balance.
balance.
Touring is not, but there is structure to the lack of structure on tour.
Yeah.
You always know when you're going to get that email saying what the lobby call time is. You
Yeah.
always know
Exactly.
when you're going to find out
Someone's
what time your flight is.
organizing it.
Well,
Yeah.
that's the thing about touring. If you tour a lot, like somebody's doing all the logistics.
Yes, and
Oh, yeah.
and I loved that.
You just get to show up.
yeah,
You show
exactly.
up, but you have a structure now.
Your job is way different than her job.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, you're all of it is still under a bubble as a touring entity, but there is structure within that entity, and my job is I have a little more responsibility, but I don't mind it.
Well, okay. So bouncing off that, what is, as an MD, what do you deal with the most? And as an MD, how because I'm sort of planning questions for people who are listening to this that might want to get involved in a tour or might want to become something that you two are.
Well, no, as far as a tour, the responsibility that I have, that I think is one of the most important ones, is making sure that the band doesn't get complacent in performing
Like every night
the
is
same thing. Because there's a discipline in that too, and within that discipline, you have opportunities to express yourself, but they didn't really come to see you. They came to see the artist, and we're supposed to represent the artist in the best way possible. And I think the best example of that is a tour that we were on for Songs in the Key of Life.
Oh, with Stevie?
Yeah. And I went into that situation with the mindset that we are performing a classical body of work. There's no difference between this and Beethoven. And so the band, I admonished the band, and I emphasized to painful degrees, you will perform this like the record. Because this is what they came to see. And they're seeing it for the first time. Steve was very excited about, first of all, performing it live for the first time when he did his annual House Full of Toys event a few years ago. And that was life changing for the people who went there, because it's like, wait a minute, we're going to get to hear this whole thing, the whole thing, like the record, and we're going to get to hear it live, really. So that was incredible. And then we toured with it. So I went into the band saying, all right, this is Beethoven. There's nothing different, and we're going to play this with structure, but we'll have opportunities, but there's going to be a very solid, non-negotiable foundation, to base this off of.
Because I think it's important for people to know that musicians just want to, when you're on a stage with other great musicians, you just want to play whatever you want. It's fun. It's like an amusement park for musicians and singers. You just sing and do whatever you want.
Everybody wants to, but that's what club gigs are for.
Yeah, to be able to improv.
Yeah, that's fine. That has its place. But for a very special situation like Songs in the Key of Life, you gotta
stay true.
You gotta stay true. You have to respect the body of work.
Yeah,
totally. And you have to accurately represent that, and that's what people enjoyed about it.
But that sounds like a little bit like your job is as much psychology as it is picking the right musicians.
No, it's 90% psychology.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was going to say, actually, I think, watching Greg over the years, I think it's also important for an MD to understand there's a lot of emotional dynamics in a band, and the MD ends up being the psychologist.
Yeah,
there's a lot of different personalities involved, but, my job isn't to be liked. My job is to be respected. Mm-hmm. And, if we like each other in the process, great. I am not difficult to get along with at all.
Jory, stop rolling your eyes.
I did nothing.
I'm very,
for the record.
I'm very easy. Nice try. I'm very easygoing, and
no, it's all true.
The assumption is if we're working together, then you're supposed to be there. Mm-hmm. But I have certain requirements, and the people that work with me on a regular basis, that's just an unspoken understanding. So there's no, and I don't govern by intimidation. I never understood
somebody who does that.
I never understood how that's effective. We are producing something that is supposed to bring joy. Now, you can't do that if you're feeling pressure or if you're stressed. Mm-hmm. That's counterproductive. I don't understand that.
Yeah.
But there are certain people who were brought up to feel that intimidation works. Fortunately, I didn't have that, because my mentors are people like Quincy Jones, who make you feel like you're the most important person in the room, and you rise to the occasion just because you're in the same room with them. So I think, that's what works best for me, and that's I think the most effective thing, to be able to bring the best out of someone, and challenge them and make them rise to a new level that they wouldn't have otherwise, is what it's all about. It's what creativity is all about.
Let me ask you this question. Going back to Quincy Jones and working, because you got to watch Quincy and Michael work together, correct? Mm-hmm. What was that relationship like when you saw that in action? Because they're both icons. How do they work together? How do they fit that, especially when their different interests collided?
Yeah, well, it's based off of mutual respect. Mm-hmm. Quincy respected Michael's artistry enough to want to contribute to that and expand it, however possible. And Michael respected Quincy's, abilities and his history, and so it was a really it was a well balanced working relationship, and there were no headbuttings or spats or anything like that. It's mutual respect.
They brought the best.
They brought the best out of each other. For
yeah.
Sure.
That's the best kind, right?
And Quincy, especially with Off the Wall being the first album, Quincy's concern or focus was bringing him out of the bubblegum phase and presenting him as an adult. That's what Off the Wall was about. It was him coming out as an adult, and by the time we got the Thriller, that was another extension of that. But it was very important for Quincy to set up Michael for his first solo album as that, so the world would see the difference.
I remember I heard once like an older version of Thriller where it wasn't Thriller, it was a different song. It was the same song, but like a different lyrics and
Starlight.
That's what it was. How did it go from Starlight to Thriller? How did that happen? Is that
Rodney Lynn Temperton, the writer of that song? His process is astounding. This guy, in starting a new song, would list a couple hundred titles. Just to start, just the titles.
Wow.
Before writing a note, let me just see what the possibilities are. So 250 titles as choices. For the demo, it was Starlight because it sang well, and I thought, okay, well, let's just do that, But somewhere along the line, the word Thriller popped out, and that was it. That's the thing that changed everything. I think Quincy had talked to Rod about wanting something, conceptually more exciting. And that's what happened.
Well, it worked.
Yeah.
I'll say.
So with Michael, you knew him as long as anybody, probably, in the music industry. Well, quite a long time.
Quite a long time.
So, progressive talent-wise, did you watch him get better, or was he just kind of at this place? And I can't imagine he didn't get better, but I'm just curious.
Well, I watched him get different. Natural progression, positively in certain ways, negatively in other ways. He always tried, though, to expand his artistry, and he was always interested in remaining current as well, to, I guess, maintain relevancy. And he would always attach himself to the latest hot producers, like Teddy Riley or
Rodney Jerkins.
The list goes on. Some things worked better than others. Obviously, there was a very special magic during the Quincy era.
Yeah, for sure.
That
it's hard
that goes untouched.
Yep.
There were other things, though.
But did you watch his dancing get better? Did you watch his voice get better? I mean, that's a long period. And it's not... I'm guessing you started working with him when he was around 17 or 18.
No, well, a little later.
Okay.
It was during the Destiny album with the brothers. There were differences I noticed, say from the first solo tour, the Bad tour, where everything was just new and fresh and organic, and then there was more of a progression going into the Dangerous tour, where he expanded on his choreography as well. His signature was the moonwalk, obviously, but there was this other thing he would do, like in the center of the stage. It looked like an eel, and he would just, contort his back and do this thing and move around and slide his feet around. It was really amazing to watch.
Yeah.
But I think, he included other movements, but it was always based around those two signature moves, Yeah, that's what worked for him.
I'm just curious about how somebody is going on the road. I mean, he toured, from the early days to getting ready for This Is It. He toured a ton, a little break right before This Is It or whatever. But I mean, how do you not improve continuing to do that? Just curious, like from an outsider, insider but outsider perspective.
I mean, but there was a long period of time that we were not. I was away from him as well. I mean, the last thing I did was the 30th anniversary shows at Madison Square Garden just before 9/11, and after that, there was, a long period that we were kind of out of touch. And then, I remember talking to him briefly on the phone. I ran into his nanny, Grace, and she had him on the phone, and we spoke about the possibility of doing This Is It. But, and even for the 30th anniversary shows, I mean, he was plagued with, the addictive
Demons.
The addictions to medications, and he was a different version of himself by that point. And so it was actually a bit of a decline. He was still the master dancer. No one can ever take that away.
Yep.
So I think there was a point during that time of sort of like rebuilding and gearing up for the This Is It concept that unfortunately never came to fruition. So
Yeah.
I don't know. There was to try to answer the question. There was a gradual development over all those years, but then it kind of
Plateaued.
I'd say it kind of plateaued.
Do you feel like your playing and your artistry is plateaued, or do you feel like you're constantly learning? And same with you, Jory. I mean, I would love to. From my perspective, I'm an educator first, right? I want to help people grow first.
Well,
so I'm just curious about that with you too.
In my mind, I feel I'm constantly learning, but in my hands, I feel like I might have plateaued.
Not
I
true.
want to always, I'm so inspired by a lot of these younger guys like Robert Glasper, and Terrace Martin and Corey Henry. I just want to smack him. And Devin Johnson, who we hung out with the other day. But I'm stuck in this weird thing because I remember being the baby for so long. Like I was the new guy, and now like people, they call me a legend now. It's like, wait a minute, when did that happen?
I'm the baby.
At 40.
And I still, but I still am looking up to, my heroes who happen to be buddies of mine now. Like Herbie and Chick. Mm-hmm. Those are the standards for me, and I have to constantly, exist.
Okay, for you young people out there, Herbie Hancock, Chick Corea.
Yes, Google.
Just go look it up.
Google. Okay, don't listen. Don't finish listening to this program without Googling them. It's important.
Yep.
But come back.
But yeah, so I'm kind of in this weird existence of, well, I know I'll never be them, and yet I've sort of made a mark in what I do, and I'm being looked up to for that. And I think there's a bunch of kids out there who can mop the floor with me. So it's weird.
What about for you?
I would say the same. I don't feel like I've ever plateaued in my mind. I feel like I'm constantly being exposed to singers who are extremely inspiring. One who we had lunch with the other day, I just adore her. Her name's Jade. She's a spectacular singer. You may know her, but I'm always learning from other singers, and I think that keeps me inspired. It keeps me growing. Keeps me wanting to keep getting better and wanting to improve and learn. And I try to use it as, a lot of times I'm like, I'll never sing like that, but then I try to use it and sort of harness it in my own way to become who I am and have it sort of mold me for the next phase of my career, whatever that may be. So I always try to use it as inspiration.
Do you think it's so physically this isn't changing and this isn't changing, but the way you think about using it, the way you think about combining things, that changes, that grows.
Absolutely. Just because of where you are in your life, your age, what you've been through. Mm-hmm. And it's like in the NBA, a seasoned player like Kobe, because of his age, he has to approach things differently. Mm. Now, I don't have physical limitations like that. So I just run off of, constant inspiration. I mean, I am, like Jory, constantly inspired. That doesn't change at all. And that's the motivation to always,
How do you guys find new artists? How does that come to you? Like a new singer or
How to find, as in actually discover?
how are you
or-
discovering? Yeah.
They go to their neighbor's basement.
We sneak
Oh,
in.
look who's
we
here
just
today.
go,
Yeah.
Hello, can we come in?
How do I find? Social media is a huge thing. You hear
Yeah.
a lot about people. A lot of people
Yeah.
who are saying, "Hey, I'm working with this new artist. Go check." Friends of ours or friends of mine who are singers, who will say they're working with somebody, then I'll go check it out. A lot of people.
Who is that for you? The last couple of months.
What's that album that we just listened to? We sampled. Do you remember the name of that album?
I do not.
I can't think of it right now. It's on iTunes. It's this really cool album, but a kind of throwback to Sly, and I don't really remember the name of it, but that was one I found on social media through. I can't remember the name of it.
Oh yeah.
It was really cool though. I
Yeah.
wish I did. I haven't bought it yet, but I'm an advocate for buying music. I
Darcy,
buy-
who's that young guy that you were telling me about?
Jake Collier.
Yeah,
Oh, he's
that's
he's a
Quincy's
beast.
guy.
He's
Yeah,
He's a beast.
Yeah.
He's insane, that guy.
yeah. He's up for a Grammy, right?
2.
Two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's just in Dubai opening at Quincy's new club down there.
Yeah.
Quincy
he's-
has a club in Dubai.
Yeah, he does.
You guys
Yeah.
should hear Darcy.
Quincy's Bar and Lounge.
You play?
He's amazing.
Yeah, I'm a singer, pianist.
Are you really?
Yeah.
He's so quiet and humble.
I
about
know.
it.
Well,
He's probably a
He's
beast.
probably a
then.
beast.
Yeah, the audience doesn't even know who he
We'll
is.
send you his
Okay.
That's our
audio.
producer.
the audience will
Darcy.
find out at some point.
Please
Yeah.
do. I would love
Yeah.
to hear. Yeah, I would love to hear. Especially the young ones. I love to
Yeah.
hear young people play because that's the biggest inspiration to
How old
me.
are you?
25.
Oh,
He's a baby.
I got socks.
15
over
years older than you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Younger than
And you too.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
I'd
no, but
like
that's
to
how
hear
I find a lot of artists is social media, and every so often an album will come out and kind of blow my mind. But I'm really into the new Bruno album. I think it's amazing.
like it?
Yes, and I know someone who played on it as
you
well.
Oh.
I made it on one song. Yeah.
Exactly.
I
Who
just
was it?
made Dave listen to the whole thing. I love it.
Yeah.
So it just goes back to like Roger and Zapp.
It reminds me of
Yeah.
Right?
Tower of
It's-
Power.
Yeah, I think it was meant to. I feel
Yeah.
like
So
you could
good.
speak to this because you spent more time with him, but I feel like his intention was to go back to that era of music. Michael and
Oh, it had to,
Absolutely.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
it was like
Absolutely
almost.
the deal.
there's even like Bobby Brown in there, and
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
like, it's.
Yep.
I
And
think
it's so
great.
well done.
It's very well done.
Yeah, like you can't help but like dance around.
He's just amazing.
When you were doing the Grammys, were there any stand-up performances that you were like, wow, and they kind of surprised you that you didn't, not that you underestimated them, but that you didn't realize how far their musical abilities were?
Yeah, but I can't remember. It's
I
all-
can.
Oh, really? Who,
It's all-
Jory?
Tori Kelly.
Tori, yeah.
Oh,
Tori,
really?
well, I mean,
Tori
She-
is amazing.
yeah. She was always strong, but, she rose to another level, for sure. I remember doing a mashup arrangement for Ellie Goulding and Andra Day, and, that turned out really
She's
strong,
great.
too.
Even Miguel.
Yeah.
Miguel was very impressive.
Yeah, yeah.
He was kind of it's sort of like an unsung hero at that point in the Grammys, and he came out and did "She's Out of My Life" with Greg, and he just killed it.
Yeah.
He's a great vocalist, and
Yeah.
Wow.
I think he's just kind of scratching the surface right now.
What's it like
Thank
you
you
guys
for that.
performing together?
The
Yeah.
best.
It's great.
I always say it's way more exciting for me than it is for Greg. No,
But I mean, that's got to be a cool moment together. I mean, so when you come off stage, are you like bonded more? Like, does it feel like that was a great experience?
No, when
or
we
you-
come off stage, she's like, "Where are the kids?
No, that's not true. Before the kids, it
Where's
was,
my boys? I want to see my..."
no, before the kids, it would take us hours to come down off of a performance,
Yeah.
and we would talk about it and all the good and the bad and the ugly of what happened that specific night in order to fix it for the next show, and that was great. I mean, it's the high when you get off of stage when you're in front of thousands of people. There's nothing
Yeah.
like it, and to be in that moment together is amazing. But I mean, just to sing while he plays is like. It never gets old.
Do you do it at home?
I try as much as possible, but Greg is a busy guy.
It's tough.
Golfing.
He's golfing quite a bit. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, no.
No.
It's tough. We always, Jory gets on me about it sometimes, and I really try to make more of an effort, but it's tough between chasing midgets and doing whatever you need to do to
Just life gets in the
maintain
way.
Yeah.
an income.
If we didn't have, kids that go to sleep at 7:30 at night, when we could actually sit down at the piano, I'm sure we would do it more often. But
You guys need to do an album.
I know it would be great, wouldn't it?
Chasing
Heard that
Midgets.
Chasing Midgets.
That's the name of the album.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I love that song.
It's great.
Good
Yeah.
song. Good
The
tune.
title song.
24K midgets.
midgets.
Yeah, there you go. There's the song. Reminds me of Tower of Power.
Yeah.
Now, do the midgets play?
Yeah.
They kind of do.
They do.
They?
At the
Yeah.
neighbor's basement.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
does your daughter play?
Yes, Eliane plays too.
Eliane, yeah.
Yeah, she does.
She was more serious about it when she was younger, and now gymnastics is taking over.
Oh, nice.
Oh, right on.
Oh, wow.
I was just like the little one at the piano. Just
You could
No,
you
were
could combine gymnastics and piano. See if you
Yeah,
can do that.
but her passion's gymnastics.
That'd be like Cirque du Soleil.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
Yeah.
Played piano while doing
What was
gymnastics.
the Cirque
the
show? Was the Michael show, right?
Yes.
Michael Jackson Immortal, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah,
wanted
yeah.
to see that so
I
bad.
saw it. I saw you.
Did you?
Yeah.
In Australia?
Little town Adelaide. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we didn't do.
No, we didn't make it there. We only did the first 18 months.
Yeah.
And after that, they moved on to Australia and other.
But that must be kind of weird, though, because here you're telling us stories. Like, each song, you can tell us a story about that song. You were there. You saw it created. Now you're there, and there's a guy, like, spinning on a
Dangling from
ribbon
it, yeah.
as that happens, and your wife is singing. And so that's sort of like a weird, surreal moment.
It was kind of surreal. I think the rehearsals were a little more surreal for me than the actual show, because by that time,
Settles
we're all
in.
used to- it settles in.
I'll tell you what was surreal for me was singing "I Just Can't Stop Loving You" with Michael, who obviously is no longer with us, but it was his
Yeah.
voice, and then it was me,
Wow.
and
They're projecting a video.
it was. I mean, there's a whole.
No, it wasn't
process.
video. It was a
Hologram.
It was a segment where we had one of the what do you call it? Aerialists performing this lush thing, while Jory singing the duet with
Wow.
Michael.
But the surreal, I didn't get to the surreal part yet. The surreal part was when Saida Garrett, who's a dear friend of ours, was in the audience watching. That was my surreal moment.
Yeah.
Michael sort of next
wrote
to me.
it?
And Saida in front of me listening. It was just, that was my surreal moment.
That is awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, she didn't write it, but she sang the duet originally.
Oh, I thought she wrote that too.
No.
She co-wrote "Man in the Mirror."
Oh, that's what it was. Right,
Yeah.
right, right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
That Sean thought Man in the Mirror was no mustache could defend any clipper.
Oh, that's awesome.
My brother just the other day.
mustache could defend any clipper.
Right?
That's
He goes,
amazing.
he goes
Wow.
I'm
That's
starting with the man in the mirror. And then and we're watching it on TV. This was like a couple months ago.
Yeah, this is recent.
and my brother goes, huh. I always thought it was, and then we were like cry laughing. It was like,
That's amazing.
no mustache.
Wow.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Could
ripped it
defend
out.
any clipper.
I was
Yeah.
3 and I thought it was Man in the Toilet, but I was 3.
Man in the toilet.
Who's the man in the toilet?
I don't know.
even
I just
wanna
thought
know.
that's what it was.
That's at the basement next door.
so-
Every morning she goes,
Yeah.
"It's not there today."
It's not there. Yeah, I don't know what happened.
So,
Again tomorrow.
so I have one more question for you guys because we're getting close on time. But
What
what
are the
would
top
be
5 moments of your life?
Waiting for that. That's
starting at 13?
And good night.
No, but you guys have had, I mean, probably different levels. But what would be your next? What would be your fantasy gig tour, and what would be your fantasy gig tour? I mean,
And let's hope they're the same.
Yeah, exactly.
well, not really.
'Cause
But
it's
I
a
mean,
fantasy.
the question is definitely different for the two of you.
Well, I can answer this very easily. My fantasy gig tour is to sing for Greg on his tour. Aww. It's true.
Now let's really hope his is the same.
Yeah, it's funny you should say that, honey, because I was thinking
My fantasy.
my
You would be
fantasy-
home with the midgets.
Yeah, I'd be chasing midgets. No, I would love to. I think that'd be great. I think it'd be great if we did perform together, and I toured as my own artist. I think that'd be nice.
That's not a far off fantasy, right?
that's what I'm thinking, like-
do it.
Other than
We'll go.
logistics of
We're there.
midgets.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
It's the bigger conversation.
a little
is-
thing called songs. You have to
Yeah,
have
the
right
bigger
one.
conversation is the right material, the right situation. Obviously,
Yeah.
if the right situation was
But
there,
are
we
you
would.
guys
you-
working towards that? Like, have you even, or is it just
Not
like
at the
we're not
moment.
even
We're-
gonna
I'm not
no.
sure. We
we're-
did just write a song together.
We did.
in the car
did.
ride over?
Yeah, exactly. No, Greg came up with an idea a month ago or 2 months ago, and I wrote some lyrics to it, and we're working on it. We just never have time to come together in that creative space. But
Yeah,
But
but, that's
even-
such a great thing to focus on.
Yeah.
Even if you two wrote some of them, but did sort of the Michael or whomever sort of way of curating songs.
yeah,
You guys are surrounded by the best.
this is true.
To pull songs in.
Yeah.
Well, you would think.
Well, it's
It looks
obviously
really good on paper.
Well,
but
also the bigger conversation for Greg's career is, if I may say, is a lot of times when Greg sits down to do something for himself, Michael calls or Peter Gabriel calls or Eric Clapton calls. And then it's like, well, how can I turn this and this and this and this down? So hopefully Greg's at a point in his life where he decides he's ready, if I can speak for you, to sort of chill and focus on him as opposed to the others.
It's tough, but it takes a dedication because, I was talking to Jory about this the other day. I was like, my problem has been every time I, wanted to focus on myself, something else came up. And the something else was so unbelievable that I felt I had to take it. And now I'm back home and I realize, okay, I got nothing.
Life is short, right? It's
I've helped a lot of people with their careers. It's wonderful. But, I at some point, if I actually have a brand, worth attention, then I need to.
And by the way, you do. You might not know that, but you do.
Well, then I need to focus on it.
And from my perspective, people who are under 30 need to know who you are, and you need to. And I'm putting that on you, Darcy. By the way,
well,
because you need to do more for these people to understand. Yeah. And I don't just mean you, but I mean there is a collection of people that are not 50. That might be past that point, that the people 30 or 25 and under who maybe are obsessed with Justin Bieber, whomever, for good reason, but they need to know, these up and coming new musicians, singers need to know. And you need to go out and do stuff that spotlights. You're not just this massive history, but you're also an artist. And these guys, like Darcy, who happens to be pretty versed in these people and these topics, but we need to do more to help. And maybe I'm becoming an old fart when I say this, but when I hear music now and I hear the technology instead of the artistry, I think, man, we got to do more to help educate and spotlight people who have come up without the technology.
Exactly.
And so I'm putting it on your lap, saying, "Hey, you guys should do this. This would be awesome."
Well, I agree with that, and.
I mean, if you said, you picked up the phone and called, I don't know, even if you wanted something more poppy, Bonnie McKee or somebody like that, hey, am I being way off point when I say, couldn't you curate some of that?
I'll come babysit.
Okay, cool. Cool.
But Diane Warren, somebody like Diane Warren.
Help. Yeah,
well, it's not impossible, but...
Greg picks and chooses very carefully who he asks what of.
Yeah, it's not.
That's why he's still working in this business.
Well, it's like there's one specific artist who, I won't mention his name, but it might be obvious. He never asks him for anything because everybody else asks for everything from him all the time, and he doesn't. So it's one of the reasons why he's remained in his life for so many years. But, there's a lot of people who want a lot from artists. So Greg is very specific about what and when and how he asks people for what he asks for.
Yeah, but... on the songwriting side,
it shouldn't be that difficult, is what you're saying.
And I agree.
But you're not asking for a favor. Yeah, this is publishing. Like, they're not losing.
It's legit.
No, I get it.
I get asking somebody to come do a video podcast is a huge favor.
Yeah,
but
huge favor.
But compared to somebody who'll get paid to do what they do.
Well, let's just say it's something that I'm focusing on.
Okay.
That's exciting.
I think
that's
you should.
Awesome.
You have my full support if that matters.
Thank you.
Thank you. In the new year, that's a primary focus.
I'd love it. Shannon and I we'll be the first in line for sure. We'd love to see you guys.
Thank you. Well,
that's very kind.
And that's a great place to wrap it up. Jory, where can we find you? What's coming up? Is there Instagram? Is there Twitter? Is there everything? What's going on?
I'm on Facebook and Instagram and whatever, but, I'm here.
Can I interject one more thing? Can we have just 2 or 3 more minutes here?
Sure.
Joe?
Host
sure. I want one more answer from each of you on one question.
Yes.
Because again, to me, I'm putting myself in shoes of people listening to this that might be in the middle of Texas and Iowa or wherever, and they go, well, what's the path? Piece of advice to either your younger self or to some young artist. Just something for them that might be a seed that gets planted that helps develop that artistry and that creativity. And maybe even business, and maybe even...
Oh, All right. Well, first of all, don't do this. Don't enter this business or, desire to sing or play or whatever because you think you're going to make a lot of money. Do this because it's a passion of yours. Quincy used to always say, don't do it to get over, do it to get better. The money will come, but it's about expanding your musicality. Listen to everybody. Don't just listen to who's on the charts now. Listen to the inspirations for who's on the charts now. Mm-hmm. Go back and check out, along with classical music, there's pop classical music too. There's Ray Charles, there's Duke Ellington, Count Basie, Miles Davis, Art Tatum, Ella Fitzgerald, Frank Sinatra. Listen to what made them great, and then later on in years, Sly and the Family Stone, Earth, Wind and Fire, Michael, Prince, and artists like that. See what else? Well, was there? There was going to be another point. Anyway, just do it to expand your musicality, not, because we're in this instant generation where, you sing 2 notes and you think you're going to make $1 million. We got, these shows like The Voice and Idol who basically do in a season what an A&R executive at a record label used to take years to do.
Yep.
It's not like that. It's
about the journey, not the destination.
It's about the journey. It's about everything that happens in your life, and you have to really want it. And even in really wanting it, there are still no guarantees. So there can't be, the motivation can't be money. It has to be the love of the music, because at the end of the day, no matter what I'm talking about, I still love to play. And my love for that has taken me to places I never, ever imagined. So
I'll just be quick and say my one regret is I wish I'd gone to Berkeley or some school of music where I was surrounded by other people that were as inspired as I was. I think I would have gotten so much from that. And also, of course, the byproduct, which is the actual music and the education. But I wish I had done that because I missed that. I went to college and got my BA in psychology, which is great, but it's not music.
Which helps you be an MD.
Pretty much. Exactly.
That's good.
So, yeah,
Good
that's
skill.
my advice.
Awesome. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Any more life-pressing questions, Dan?
Joe, I have a question for you.
Joe, can I have 2 or 3 more minutes? Guys, tell me everything that's happened to you.
What brand are your jeans?
Well,
Just the one?
I try and ask questions, and I try and put myself in shoes of
The listeners.
Yeah, no, it's
because
good.
I'm trying.
It's
We
good.
reach people that will never have a chance to ask you guys questions, and
Never.
so imagine, what a young kid. Imagine what it was like for you as a kid if you could have
I
just
do.
tapped.
I remember.
Not
Yeah,
that it's
yeah.
not that it's slowing
No, I
either of you down.
remember.
but-
No. Well, my situation was just drastically different from pretty much anything else because it was a miracle. It was a predestined miracle. And
How'd you end up in L.A. anyway? You grew up in Detroit, and
What, you got time? Joe's like, look,
I don't care. I
Joe's
don't
got
care.
a
It's like, Joe, we got to keep this at an hour. Oh, all right. How did you land up in L.A., Greg?
okay, fine. Let's.
no,
I do wanna know.
If I have the time, if you
No,
do,
I
I'm
have the
fine.
time.
We
You have the time? You good?
Okay, let's go.
Potentially go past an hour. So.
Okay, if you sure about this?
I want to
Yes.
know.
We want to
Okay,
hear the
here
journey.
we go. All right. So
And that's another episode. of
thank you very much, and good night. Thank you. So I'm from Detroit, as you may or may not know, and I had played. I had a couple different bands that I played with. I was gaining popularity. A very good friend of mine who is a drummer was asked to audition for Stevie in New York. So the night before he left.
What year was this?
This was 1975, a year after I graduated from high school. And so the night before my friend left for New York, I went to his house to celebrate. obviously very excited for him. But he insisted that I play some things on a cassette, and then he would give it to Stevie. This is the kind of friend he was. So I did, and he left for New York the next day, and then, a few days, it seemed like an eternity passed, but it's probably a couple, 2-3 days. And then he called me early in the morning and said, Stevie wants to see you in New York today.
Wow.
What do you do?
You get on a plane.
Yeah. So I'm running around the house like a banshee, getting clothes together, and my mother is like,
Can I ask you, I got to go back. Stevie
Go.
wants to see you in New York?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay. All
right, keep going. Sorry.
Okay, well, I can tell you about the time we were in Nigeria and we were doing a live segment on the Grammys, and, when Andy Williams asked that fateful question, Stevie, can you see us? So anyway.
Wait, I do have a legit question. Have you ever seen, because there is that weird conspiracy theory that Stevie can really see?
Yeah, see, the thing is
There
that Stevie,
is?
Stevie
Yes.
only acts blind with women. He can actually see, but he'll be like, hi, how you doing? And the girls will be like, oh, Stevie. He's like, But listen, if you say, Steve, the bathroom's out the door to the left, he'll be like,
Yeah, he's out.
Oh, he really going to the bathroom. That'd be great. if he
So
did.
he has,
Committed.
first of all, he's the most visually oriented blind person I've ever met in my life. I've seen him do things that you will not.
Drive.
You will not. And you haven't lived, folks, until you've been in a car with Stevie Wonder driving. I have.
Are you serious?
I have. I was in the back seat. I'll never forget it. But that's another
With
segment.
a helmet on.
Yeah. So anyway, to answer the original question.
Yeah.
So I am on my way to New York, but now I'm instructed to stop by Stevie Wonder's house to pick up one of his brothers. So now I'm sitting inside Stevie's house. I'm going, okay, well, I'm sitting inside Stevie's house.
Wow.
And I'm waiting for one of his brothers to come down, and we leave. We go to the airport and go to New York and get settled at the hotel. And then I go to the studio, which was the original Hit Factory. And I'm sitting there on pins and needles, and, I'm trying to be cool, but I'm getting ready to meet my hero, and I can't even believe this is happening right now. So finally, the elevator, because, there was a camera, that was, that you could see on this monitor. There's a camera that pointed to the elevator door. That was the only way to get in and out. Finally, the elevator door opens, and here he comes in. His sister is bringing him in. His sister Renee is bringing him in. And it's like, oh, my God, there he is right there. He's coming to me, and I say, Stevie, Greg's here. And this handshake was the single most life-changing handshake right there. He's like, how you doing? And so that's what did it. And so we met, and we talked a little bit, and we played a couple things. He played me a song of his that he was working on, and, we talked. And that was that night. And then the next day, it was more of the formal audition where I met the rest of the band, and it was between me and this older-looking white guy. And I remember at different times in the day, band members would come up to me and go, "It's okay, you got it." And so there was that, and then now it's the evening, and we're leaving the rehearsal studio, and we're going back to the Hit Factory. And I'm in the car with him, and on the way back, he goes, "So, how does it feel to be a member of Wonderlove?"
Wow.
That was the name of the band, right? So now my mind is like,
Yeah.
because I heard all these stories about how he's a practical joker, and you never know if he's
Messing with you.
or not. So I was like, "Are you serious?" And he went, "Yeah." So then I said, "Well, would you mind telling my mom?" I figured you're not going to lie to Mom. So it's like, sure. So we go to the studio. I pick up the phone, dial the house, give the phone to him, and the first voice my mom hears is his.
Aw.
Saying that he, wants to have her son in his band, and he'll take care of me and all that. Now, this was a month before I turned 19.
Wow.
It was also a month before he turned 25. So what I'm saying to you is, at 25, he was still working on songs in the key of life. At 25.
Yeah.
So let that sink in for a minute. So our birthdays are 1 day and 6 years apart. Mine's May 12th. His is May 13th. And that's how that happened.
The part of the story that you left out, though, is the part where Steve had a bunch of tapes in the studio and he couldn't see, obviously. So he just, went to grab a tape and put something in. And he didn't remember playing it. And he was like, oh, who is this? What? And he was like, that's Greg. He's like, because he thought it sounded like him. So that's when he called. That's when he called Greg to audition. Was he thought it was him playing, but he realized
There's
it wasn't.
the miracle, right?
That's the miracle. And
Wow, yeah.
the crazy part is my friend did not get the gig.
Oh.
But he ended
okay.
up he ended up
awkward.
he ended up no. Well, yeah, it was awkward because the other part of the story that Jory was talking about was he was told he didn't get the gig, so he's leaving the studio, but then he remembered he had my cassette in his pocket. He goes back up.
Oh.
Okay, this is the kind of guy he was. He
Yeah.
goes back up and says, look, I promised this buddy of mine that, I was going to let Stevie hear a cassette of his. Would you mind just making sure that he gets it? And so the manager took it and placed it on
Yeah.
a pile of
pile.
cassettes at
That's
his
how-
desk in front of his
Holy
tape. And
smokes.
so now Steve was gone at the time, but he came back and he's fishing around and he goes, putting the thing in and he's put the cassette right. And so he's listening to it and he's like,
I sound great.
but he couldn't quite because what I played was I played a couple of his. I played one of the songs I remember playing was "You Are the Sunshine of My Life." So I played a couple of things of his to let him know that I kind of know how he thinks musically, right? So he stopped the cassette. He takes it out. He goes, "What does this say?" So the manager says Greg. Of course, he butchered my last name. So then he said, "Find him." So now they're calling my friend Ricky.
Who didn't get the gig.
Who didn't get the gig. He's already gone. He says, Ricky, this is, so-and-so with Stevie. And Ricky's like,
You made a
really?
mistake?
Really?
You want me
really?
back?
Really? And he says, you know that friend of yours? Can you find him?
Think you can give him a ride? He's gonna need a ride.
Man.
So, yeah, but,
Oh, wow.
but he ended up with Roy Ayers, who was hanging around a lot of the
And
time.
then Michael Jackson.
And then
and
we ended up
just
working
fine.
together. Yeah,
yeah,
so
he was brilliant.
he was brilliant. I
great
say
guy,
was
though.
because he unfortunately passed away a few years ago.
Oh no!
And his name was Ricky Lawson, one of the world's greatest drummers.
But it's okay because the end of that story is that Ricky was in the hospital. He had was it a stroke that Ricky had? He had a stroke. Anyway,
Yeah.
the point of the story is it was when Greg was getting ready to go do Songs in the Key of Life for House Full of Toys.
Yeah.
And Greg couldn't go see Ricky in the hospital because he was doing this. And it was just a full
Wow.
circle
Weird.
spiritual
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah.
What a great
Wow.
friend.
Yeah.
What talk about serendipity,
Right.
Huh?
No, this was
mean,
was
what
divine
if-
providence.
What
Yeah.
if he
Way
grabbed a
past
different
serendipity.
tape?
Yeah.
What if
Yeah.
he hadn't grabbed that one cassette?
Yeah.
But you feel like you'd still somehow have made it. I mean, he grabbed the wrong tape, but I bet just like Ricky had his, you would have had yours too.
Yeah, I bet you're right.
Yeah, it was all.
It was
It was going to
meant to
happen.
be.
It
Yeah.
was
It
going to
was-
happen.
God, planned it. That's all I can tell you. And
That's
it
awesome.
changed my life.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then you end up in L.A.
Yeah.
That's the end of that story.
Well, yeah, I spent the first.
Okay, it's chapter one.
I spent the first 2 months in New York with him, April and May. And then they said California is the place you ought to be, so we loaded up the truck and moved to Beverly in June.
Hills, that is.
Hills, that is, in June of '75, and I've been here ever since.
Wow. And then toured with Toto, toured with Michael, toured with Stevie, toured with...
Lionel, Quincy,
Eric.
And then this
Eric,
podcast.
and then
Oh,
this
this is
podcast,
the high
was
point.
which is
It has
the
peaked.
plateau,
So yeah,
the peak of my career.
it's a great view from up here.
I'm not
That's
gonna lie.
incredible.
Darcy handed me a bunch of tapes, and I couldn't. I hear. I'm like, who is this Greg guy? Dave,
And
get
that's
him.
how we got you here.
Get him on the podcast.
Really? So thank you. I appreciate
You're
it.
welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
It was actually an 8-track, but
Was it an 8-track?
anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I was really asking for Jory, to be honest with you.
No, I don't blame you. I ask for it all the time.
In a future episode of this where we bring you guys back, we get to talk about how you guys met and everything else. But
That's another
I'm getting
chapter.
glared at from Joe. So.
I'm not. I don't care. Where do I have to be?
Gosh, Joe.
I'll keep them there all day. We're gonna go neighbor's basement.
Yeah, come on, man. Let's go to the neighbor's basement.
Yeah.
All right, back to you, Joe.
Okay, Ricky. Ricky.
Oh, that's nice.
Sorry, Greg.
Hi.
We can edit that out.
Yeah, can we edit that out, please? Greg, where can people find you and not call you or contact you? Because one of the thing too.
You can't.
Yeah.
You can't find me. I have
No Twitter, no
Wikipedia.
Instagram.
I actually have a private Instagram.
Ooh.
I actually do.
It's like a private dancer, but it's Instagram.
It's an Instagram.
Instagram for money.
Yes. I'm your private Instagram. But look,
Greg has a website in process. It's not live yet, but it will be shortly.
I will have a website. I'm stepping out of the dark ages.
Mm-hmm.
I will have a website, and there will be more access there. That's one of the big plans for
2017 is going to be the
yeah
year.
for early 2017.
Oh.
Yeah. So I can tell you that. Otherwise, no, because I'm too busy chasing midgets. I can't.
Telling you, that's the name of the
and,
album.
and my grown midgets.
She's so
Oh,
cute.
the girl midget.
My mini me.
She's awesome. We needed a mic
the
for
musician,
her.
gymnast, magician.
Exactly. That's right.
You got it.
Exactly. Yeah. She's her own little circus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
And Jory, did we find out where we can find you?
Yeah, we did that like 20 minutes ago.
Did we?
Yes, we did. Jory.
Because now I'm thinking we can. If you want to get a hold of Greg, here's Jory.
Yeah. That's go through the
In
wife.
the words of Bill Withers, use me.
Come on now. Come on.
All right. I'll
Oh wait, and that's another thing.
Yes.
I have to mention this because this was seriously one of the greatest moments of my career.
Oh,
and
thank
life.
you.
Yeah.
Oh.
You're just gonna have to deal with it, Joe. This is good. Even you'll like this. Assuming you do know who Bill Withers is.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So now this is another one of the iconic artists that I listened to as a kid, and I never imagined that I would, know him and call him a buddy. And since then, I was blessed to be one of the producers as well as the MD for a special tribute to him at Carnegie Hall.
Wow.
Honoring the Live at Carnegie Hall album that he did some 40 years ago, And we had all these artists, everybody from Ed Sheeran to Aloe Black, Anthony Hamilton, Dr. freaking John, who I managed to get to do this. Let us see, Valerie Simpson with Gregory Porter. And it was absolutely fantastic. The only bad thing about it is we couldn't get it televised. But it was extremely special to those who were in attendance, and it was.
Did they shoot it so it's Netflix or anything?
It's YouTube.
YouTube.
Yeah, it's on
Well,
YouTube.
yeah, is it? Yeah,
Yeah, we had to
check it
sign a
out.
waiver for YouTube, so I'm pretty sure it's on YouTube.
yeah, but that was just unspeakably joyous. Yeah.
It's amazing when you grow up and those people that are influencing you,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden
Well, the best is when they meet up to what you thought they would be.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's the worst when you meet someone and you're like,
Well,
oh.
there's
Yeah.
That's more of
That's
what
another
happens.
episode.
Yeah, that's another
Yeah,
podcast.
it can be. It can be.
Or that's called after the show is done conversation.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
That's the one we don't broadcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole the after dark show.
Yeah.
Singing
Just for
talk,
us.
Yeah, sing
Yeah.
talk radio after dark.
Yeah.
That's really good. Go for
The
the
real
Over the back
stuff.
fence.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dave?
Yeah. I'm
But
enjoying
one
this
more
new
thing,
role
though.
switch,
Yes?
by the way. Go for it.
No, I'm kidding.
Oh, okay.
What we're gonna have to do is come up with a thing. Look, let me tell you something. We've done some of these where it's like, oh, it's been 25 minutes. Oh my god!
Oh,
right.
yeah.
So the fact that I really could go another 11 more minutes and be totally fine.
Oh, gee, thanks, Joe.
Wow, Joe.
No, I could.
I
literally-
speak highly of you.
I could be. I could be here all day. This is so fun. But Dave, Are we wrapping this up?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, thank you for. Well, Shannon, do we want to find you anywhere or anything like that?
No.
We'll come up with a formal one
You
for
don't wanna
this.
find me.
Now, Dave, maybe where can we find the Vocalize You? Where can we find the Dave Stroud Vocal Studio? Where can we find all that information? How people who want to get a hold of you, they
Get a
want
hold of Jory.
Yeah.
Contact Jory.
Yeah,
wanna
contact me.
they want to
I'm-
ask about whether they sing with the high or low larynx.
Yeah.
Where can they find you?
Yes, on the Sing Talk forum. DaveStroud.com, I suppose. That's the best place.
DaveStroud.com.
And sing-talk.com.
We have to come up with a good slogan, like a Seacrest out kind of thing. Like,
Yeah. And you
Right.
can find
Joe
Greg
out.
through davestroud.com. You can, actually.
Oh, really?
Well, just, if you ask Dave, maybe he'll,
Oh, yeah.
guide you in the right
that's
direction.
Contact Dave.
Now
Well,
I'm
Dave
feeling
is the new
pressure.
Jory.
She just bumped it off.
Yeah.
yeah, there we go. That's a good
I thought
pass. I
so.
like that. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, good deflection. Well, for Shannon and for Dave, we are Stroud and Proud. There's our slogan. There you go. Like
Wow.
that.
Oh.
Stroud
I like
and
it.
Proud.
Stroud and proud.
We're gonna
Yeah,
have to.
Stroud.
We're gonna have to.
We're going to have to edit that out.
Yeah,
that was
talk
awful.
through that one.
That was literally one of the worst slogans ever. I'm embarrassed about it. In fact, edit me out of the show. All right.
We already have. We did it while you were talking. That's why I was over
Instant
here.
edit. Yeah. Okay. Right.
All right. Goodbye.